Forge, Fabric, Quilt, and Neoforged. Those are the big four in the current Modloader scene, with thousands of mods being made for them and millions of Minecrafters using what they created to enhance their gameplay with mods created by talented Modloaders. But for every big project that succeeds, there are those who get abandoned or forgotten. Most of the big modloaders we have today are actually built on or originated on other modloaders most of us have never heard about. So today we are taking a look at 4 modloaders that have been buried underneath the sands of time and figure out if it was a good thing that we lost them or a sad tale that would likely be repeated as time goes on. So sit back, hit that little sub button, and let me welcome you to part 5 of my deep dive into the history of modloaders. All stories have a beginning, and in the case of modded Minecraft, that beginning was jar modding. See, like we touched upon on the first part of this series, modloaders now load the mods in for you. That's what the little loading screen when you boot up a Forge mod pack is for. Essentially, the loader is fetching all the data for the jar mods in your folder and putting them into the game. Back in the day, users had to manually drag code pieces into the Minecraft.jar itself, also referred to as jar modding or base modding. The issue was that doing it this way resulted in compatibility issues. Say you have 2 mods that both add a new type of ore. Nowadays you would install something like polymorph, which allows the new ore from both mods to be used in the same recipe, with both of them spawning randomly throughout the world. However, in base modding this was not possible. If the first mod happened to add the same data as the second mod, one of the two would end up overriding the other, and this would result in your PC exploding. Well, not really, it would just crash your game, but you get the point. A lot of people try to alleviate this problem by creating what is known as compatibility layers, which would interact between the game and the mods. Modloader, created by Rizugami, became the big name in the modding scene almost instantly. Mostly created to support its own mods, Rizugami's Modloader essentially was the first one to crack the difficult task of getting different mods to talk to each other on a unified platform. The relative stability offered by Modloader was one of the main attraction points, as Rizugami himself rarely added new features, allowing developers to just focus on supporting Minecraft's rapidly changing codebase, increasing development speed, and easing the workload. While Modloader still allowed so-called base modding to be done, it was generally a good balance between compatibility and scope. But Lunar, I hear you ask, if this software was so great, why are we talking about it in the past tense? Well, my friends, because it no longer is being actively developed. Or officially at least. See, while the community patches still exist, Modloader stopped development in 1.6.2 after Rizugami turned out to be a bit of an ass. And I don't mean that lightly. Basically, he had a rule in place about distributing Modloader in mod packs, being described to me by 3 different people as, you have permission to distribute unless you ask me, that you don't. Well, not rule, but go off, I guess. The issue was that the Feed the Beast team asked to distribute Modloader in their widely popular mod pack, and Rizugami's answer was a resounding no, causing Forge, who up until this point used Modloader as their underlying system, to respond with Forge Modloader, which handled the server side of things up until now. This launch effectively caused Rizugami's Modloader to slowly die out, as many big name mod packs and devs moved over to the much more clear and supported Forge, as Forge Modloader actually has a license for distribution. And with that, the first real Modloader for Minecraft died out, mainly because of its own creator being not liked, which oddly enough is a theme in the modding space. Now, in modded Minecraft there are many big names. Lex, CPW come to mind, Player, but there is one person who arguably needs to get more credit, and that's Mumfree, the creator behind our next modloader, Lightloader. But many long-term fans of the channel know his name already, as Mumfree was instrumental in the creation of Sponge due to this absolute game-changing piece of code known as mixins. Now, mixins as a concept is nothing really new to the programming sphere, but in Minecraft it was revolutionary. See, instead of modifying the game in ways that require a full relaunch of the game, as it needed to load all these changes during boot up, Mixins allow programs to fetch data on the fly. This is why Fabric often gets called more performant, as it uses mixins as one of its underlying technologies. If nothing happens, Mixins does nothing on its own, but once data is needed, it goes to the mod to fetch the texture or whatever you need to get that block shown. Lightloader also used an early version of Mixins. Lightloader's stated goal was to be a lightweight and well-performed mod loader for mods that don't really change game mechanics. Imagine things like enabling macros or tweaking how the mouse works. That's what Lightloader was going after, as Lightloader itself was classified as a tweak and not actually a core mod. This allowed Lightloader to be an exceptional tool for smaller mods while still being compatible with Forge to allow bigger, more game-changing mods to run. It was also very user-friendly, with a built-in interface to allow you to configure and manage mods right in the game, a feature we would only get on major mod loaders a while later. In many ways, Lightloader feels like a precursor to Fabric, but it also had some major changes. The Forge compatibility is a major one, but it was also just designed for smaller client-sided mods rather than the wide variety Fabric supports. And as of right now, it does seem like Lightloader is abandoned. With the last release being for 1.12.2 and no updates on the main branch for the last 6 years, it seems Lightloaders and its complement of exclusive mods are stuck in the past. However, its more successful mods like mouse tweaks have made the jump successfully to newer versions and other mod loaders. Throughout this video, you might have noticed that I'm talking about these mod loaders in a chronological order. That's because these are all connected to each other. While Rizugami's failure as a community gave way to Forge's rise, Lightloader's radical approach to loading mods sparked the idea in mod makers that there could be a more simple way of developing and loading mods. Eventually, this caused Rift to be born. It stated flat out it did not aim to compete with Forge, but rather offer a simple, faster and cleaner system to expand Minecraft on. It did not have any major hooks to modify existing vanilla gameplay mechanics that Forge did have. Instead, it focused on expanding vanilla gameplay, while encouraging developers to hook into vanilla systems instead of Rift in order to keep the vanilla feel alive. Released in 1.13, it saw few mods from Lightloader jumping ship over to Rift, but sadly never got past 1.13. Even though it promised version-wide compatibility, it does seem like you only needed code for 1.13, as development for it has either stopped or is so sparse it's not even worth mentioning. The last noticeable release was made for 1.13.2 by Chocohead, but not long after, Fabric released with a bang, causing people to move over to Fabric instead of Rift, causing Rift to be relegated as a stepping stone towards Fabric, which is kind of a shame, as 1.13 was notable due to its relatively poor performance and the goddamn dolphins. It could have been a breath of fresh air for most users, as they were locked to a Forge plus Optifine combo, something that could not be said for our next loader. Quilt has often been called a drama loader. And while yes, they have had some, shall we say, questionable decisions, it often, unrightfully, gets called out for causing the initial drama in the Fabric's Discord and calling the upper management transphobic, which was not Quilt's doing, that was Woven MC, and you can find out more in part 3, which is on the screen right now. But Woven MC, created by Nuclear Farts, Kiz, roll the nuke. In a nutshell, was the original drama loader, as it was created by Nuclear, who was banned from the Fabric Discord by Player after someone made transphobic comments. Technology-wise, the goal was to make a new standard API for Minecraft mods based on Fabric itself, and it also hoped to be an actual option aside from Fabric to run mods on based on it, thus rebalancing the ecosystem somewhat and having room for alternative ideas, as Player at the time was seen as rather tyrannical, with the plan being a much more easy to develop and maintain API. It also caused the creation of a databank driven module, which was known as tags, which later actually got reused in to Quilt's API. Actually, according to Lambda Aura, who is actually in the Quilt team, and most of you might know her from Lambda Dynamic Lights, a lot of Woven's code made it back into Quilt or Fabric, one way or another. But Woven itself was a social response to a rather charged topic. Their Discord got raided numerous times, and with momentum for the project dying down, it essentially died on impact. Only remembered by a few who were involved and misremembered as Quilt by the larger community. This could be because some of the Woven team made it over to early Quilt, or Fabric as it was known as. But for now, Woven will forever be noted as a social response to a rather heated topic. And that, my friends, were 4 more Modloaders that are abandoned, dead, or just stuck in the version for you to play around with. While these projects may not have any relevancy today, they once were important. And it's important to realize that these were very big stepping stones to the powerful Modloaders we have today. And you could argue that some of these projects have no reason to exist. But I think it's important to remember an old Belgian saying: if you never do anything, you also never can make mistakes. And people should be allowed to make mistakes. And I doubt the project you hate actually is that bad as you think it is, Kyle. But for now, I was Lunar, you were awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.